Hello. It's been a while since I've updated my YouTube channel. Um, really hasn't been a lot to report on. In the last probably, I don't know, I don't think it's been a year, but maybe it has been a year since I've done a video. I didn't look back. But anyway, I just did want to give a little bit of an update. And also a little bit of a talk about autoimmune hepatitis and primary biliary cholangiitis crossover. Because this was a topic that came up within the last 24 hours on the Facebook group for autoimmune hepatitis about the crossover diagnosis, which I have the crossover diagnosis. So basically, I have both autoimmune hepatitis and primary biliary cholangiitis crossover. And but before I get into that, I had some imaging work done today for the first time in 2 years. My liver enzymes have consistently lowered over the last year. Of course, I got into the normal range about 8 months after starting the immunosuppressant, and then starting ursodiol, which was the bile salt, which treats the PBC, the primary biliary cholangiitis, and I will refer to this as PBC now, since I've said it a few times in the video, just because it's just a mouthful and it doesn't always come out correctly. And AIH is autoimmune hepatitis. So when I say those words, now you know what they mean. So anyway, my liver enzymes have increasingly normalized. Pretty much, they were in the high range, especially the alkaline phosphatase, which was the primary red flag that I had, probably PBC as a primary. Even though when I went for my liver biopsy a couple of years ago, it only showed the autoimmune hepatitis. But because the alkaline phosphatase was so high, I just felt like I have PBC, but maybe it's just so early that it didn't show up on the particular biopsy. Because again, they only take, I can't even remember how many cores they took, but they take it at specific spots around the liver, very strategic, but that doesn't mean they always get enough to confirm or rule out a particular diagnosis. So pretty much what ruled me in for PBC is that when I went on a steroid, my alkaline phosphatase came down a few points. I mean, just a few points. But my other liver enzymes responded fairly quickly. And then when I went on the immunosuppressant, azathioprine, my other liver enzymes kept coming down, but my alkaline phosphatase wasn't making much of a change. So that's when my hepatologist decided to put me on ursodiol, which is basically just a bile salt. And what it does is it thins out the bile so that you can so that it's no longer irritating your bile ducts. And that's pretty much the autoimmune effect of that. I mean, you do have the autoimmune disease that is attacking the bile ducts, but it just makes the bile in your bile ducts thicken up because they're inflamed. What this does is it thins out your bile so it's not irritating your bile ducts. Because if you've ever been sick and you've got to the point where you're vomiting bile, you know how much it burns your throat and burns your mouth and how horrible it tastes. It is very caustic. It's very caustic. So when it backs up into your bile ducts and doesn't flow the way it should be because of the inflammation that's in your bile ducts, it's irritating your bile ducts just like it irritates your throat when you throw up bile. So what the ursodiol is takes away that effect. And it doesn't stop the PBC altogether. It just takes away that irritating effect of the bile on your bile ducts. And it slows down the damage that's happening to your bile ducts. Okay, with that said, my liver enzymes all started coming down greatly after I went on the bile salt, the ursodiol. to the point within 8 months I was at high normal on alkaline phosphatase. My liver enzymes were more like median normal. But so in the last year, I would say the last 9 months to a year, my liver enzymes overall have continued to decline to where I am pretty much low normal on ALT and AST. Like, I don't even look like a person who has autoimmune hepatitis with those. My alkaline phosphatase is still probably kind of a high medium normal, but still the lowest it's ever been. I mean, it's in the normal range, well within the normal range. So that is a good sign that I'm in a, what they call a, for all intents and purposes, remission of my disease. It doesn't mean that it's still not present and that it'll ever go away, but it's not progressing. So that's where you want to be with an autoimmune disease. I mean, a lot of people say you can cure your autoimmune disease. Yeah, maybe you can. Maybe if you live a perfect life, have no stressors, have no exposure to toxins, and you're eating a perfect diet for your body, which is really hard to find. It's really hard to find in this world, is what exactly is the perfect diet for your body. I'm to the point I do everything in moderation. I have a kind of a stressful life. I'm caregiving, not intensively right now, but I still have to travel a lot to help keep my mom living independently. I do all her business. All that said, I may be retired now, but I am not, for all intents and purposes, I'm not retired. I'm just not doing anything to make direct income. I live on passive income. But anyway, all that to say that, my life is still inherently stressful. Everybody's is in this world. I mean, it's not easy in our modern world to live a non-stressful life. Even the pioneers lived probably way more stressful lives physically than we did. But they're just not getting all this information coming into their brain every day through these phones that we do. And that's something I've tried to cut back on. I still enjoy my social media. I still participate in it, but I do have very intentional times that I back away from it. I mean, I build in, if possible, if it's not an unusual day, I build in a 1 or 2 hour quiet time where there is no media whatsoever. And if I nap, I nap. If I sit here and I pet my cat, if I read, whatever, there's just no media. And it's quiet as it can be when you live next to a construction zone. Anyway, I do that. So all that to say is that, you can try to find the perfect balance in life, but inevitably you're going to go through stressful times. And I have been through some stressful times in the last few weeks. Won't go into all that detail, but one of the things included losing a fairly close family member. I lost an aunt to dementia, and that was hard. That was difficult. It was a difficult ending. It was a difficult thing to witness. It was a difficult thing to see my cousins going through. And she was probably the aunt that I spent the most time with in my life. So it was a significant loss. And there's a lot of other things floating around in my life that are inherently stressful. Anyway, all that to say, you can try to reduce stress, and that's what you should do, but you can't get away from it. And you're going to go through times where sleep is not great. I've been through about a 3-week period where my sleep hasn't been great. This week, I've kind of gotten back on track. So I think the thing is to try to do everything you can do to take care of yourself, but to also build resilience. That's one thing I've been in probably at least a decade of trying to learn to be resilient. And I've had same top 10 stressors in my life, or top 5 stressors in my life. I mean, other than moving, I've had all the top 5 stressors in my life, honestly. So you just got to try to find a way to take care of yourself and to build that resilience. If you're looking for a stress-free life or the perfect diet, the perfect this of her, you're just building more stress into your life because it's not going to happen. It's just not. And so you gotta be adaptable. You gotta be adaptable. But you've also got to know when you've reached the end of your rope, and you have to say, sorry, I can take on no more. I have to go and take at least a couple of days to myself to just rest. And, rest as much as you can in the situation that you find yourself in. Because we know that autoimmune disease, they're pretty much saying that one of the triggers for the biggest trigger for autoimmune disease is personal stress. And I can look back at my last 10, 15 years of life and go, or even further, and go, yeah, there's no question why I have an autoimmune disease. Am I going to get sad and bitter and depressed about that my body turned on itself? No. I can't go back and change what was 10, 15, even 20, 25 years ago. I can't go back and change that now. All I can do is change where I'm at now and look at my life and say, okay, I can't stop this stress that's here. It's going to be here. So what I got to do is, how do I find the best way to take care of myself amongst that stress? And how do I give myself respite against it? And how do I set boundaries in my own life with people to say, look, I can't take care of every one of your needs. If I'm supposed to take care of every one of your needs, then we got an issue we got to work through. And we've got to find other ways to have your needs met. And you got to have those hard conversations with people. I have. There are just some people I can't spend a lot of time around because of their own stress and their own personal drama. I've had to step back. I can still love them. I can still support them, but I don't have to be involved in their drama every day of my life. That's their issue to work out. But anyway, I've gone off on a tirade on stress and food and things like that. Yeah, eat good food, take care of yourself, but also allow yourself to have some fun. I mean, I've told myself I can get so serious so quick. Like, I can just be so, I got to do this for my life to be under control. Life is inherently uncertain. And that's been the hardest thing for me to learn, is how to deal with uncertainty. But, I'm learning how to take care of myself, and I'm also learning how to give myself a break and to realize I'm human. I'm not Superwoman. I was never designed to be Superwoman. I was designed to be what God made me to be. So I'm leaning into those gifts, those things that give me joy. I actually do work that gives me joy. I do volunteer work that gives me joy. I do front of house sound for my church. Love it. Even there's some stress in that, of course. It's a very stressful volunteer position, but I absolutely love it. Wish I had been doing it many years ago. And I'm 10 years into it now, and I'm still learning. And I love to learn. So it gives me the opportunity to have fun and to learn. So I'm going to end on the PBC AIH crossover. So if you're out there and you feel like, okay, I've got some things, like some of my enzymes are coming down and some of my enzymes are not coming down. Say you've been diagnosed with PBC, but they can't get your AST and ALT down. If you haven't had a biopsy, number one, get the biopsy. Don't be scared of the biopsy. It's really nothing. I mean, to give you some Xanax, they numb you up. I didn't feel a thing. And after that, they give you a sandwich and they tell you to chill for 2 hours and watch TV or play on your phone. It was a cakewalk. I had no problems. I had no after effects. I was a little sore the day after. So do not let a biopsy intimidate you. Yes, they're sticking a needle in your liver. Yes, there are inherent risks to that. But most people don't have complications. And most people are like, why was I so stressed out about this? It's easier than a colonoscopy. I'll tell you that. You don't have to go through a prep. You just have to not eat for 12 hours That's it. I was able to do that. And then they brought me a turkey sandwich right after that. So don't let that get that biopsy, get that pathological diagnosis. And again, even a pathological diagnosis may not show everything. So if you feel like even with a biopsy, even with the treatment you're on, that it's not working for you, push for more testing, or push to have another drug that treats what they suspect might be going on. If they suspect you have a crossover from, let's say you have PBC, but your liver enzymes are not coming down, say, hey, maybe I need to be on a steroid for a while. Maybe I need to be on an immunosuppressant to see if we can get these other enzymes down. If you have a autoimmune hepatitis diagnosis and your alkaline phosphatase is still like high, that's a pretty big red flag that you may have crossover with PBC. So don't be afraid to ask your doctor. And if your doctor is like blowing you off, find another doctor. Get that second and even third opinion that you have to. Go to a liver transplant center. Make that trip to see a hepatologist that does this daily, not just in conjunction with his gastroenterology practice. I mean, I'm seeing a guy like that right now, but he's very good. And he's like, anytime I have a question, I'm a phone call away from the transplant center to get another, he actually did call Duke about my situation. And they were saying, yeah, it sounds like she has a crossover, even though her biopsy didn't show the PBC on it. And sure enough, they started treating me as a crossover, and everything's great now. And my imaging the other day, I had an ultrasound. I haven't had a fibroscan yet. That's going to be my next, probably in a year, I'm going to ask for a fibroscan. But I think I'll have to go, I don't know. There may be somewhere in Charlotte that does them. If not, I may have to go to Duke to get it. That's fine. I'll go to Duke. I'm 2.5 hours from Duke, so no problem. But my ultrasound showed that I had my MRI, sorry, I'm backtracking here. My MRI showed absolutely no sign of liver disease. But my ultrasound consistently shows some density, which it's the same density they saw in 2023. It has not advanced. It's the same. My liver looks the same that it did in 2023. So, it still shows the chronic liver disease, but it's not advanced. So I'm happy with that. And my hepatologist is more than happy with that. He said that's the best we can hope for. I mean, we would hope to see nothing, but if you have some scarring in your liver from when the disease wasn't diagnosed, it's probably always going to be there. Not that your liver can't heal. There's a lot of people who out there on the internet will say, oh, you can totally reverse your liver. You won't ever see any scarring if you're doing this right, if you're eating right, if you're doing this right, if you're doing that right. You're taking this supplement that we're making money off of. And it's just like the diet industry. They give you these pie in the sky, but yet they're the one making a profit on the pie in the sky. Big red flag. Big red flag. So I would say, go with what your doctor says. If you're not liking the answers, go get other opinions. There's somebody out there who will listen to you. So anyway, I'm going to end it here because this is almost 19 minutes. But I hope everybody is doing well, and I hope everybody gets the answers and gets the treatment that they need. And again, if you have any questions, just drop them in a comment, drop them in a direct message, and I'll be happy to answer it the best I can, or I will send you to some resources that can give you some answers. So I hope you all are having a good day, and will continue to have a good day, and be blessed.